Good morning, and welcome to this morning's Wuxing Long Pai Taijiquan Qigong and Baguazhang class. My name is Jeff Cote, and I am the Occidental Taoist. So this morning we're going to do a light warm-up, just like we do every time. This is, a lot of these classes are practices, and I conduct them that way so that you have an idea of what a practice session looks like. Now, when I practice, I go longer than an hour, and I do all the warm-ups, and then I'll practice the Tai Chi forms and everything for about an hour. But what I've found for most students is what's really valuable for you is that framework of understanding that everything you're going to do in the Tai Chi section, when you're working on Tai Chi or Baguazhang, you're going to take the lessons of the Qigong. This is a system. Everything's designed to fit together like a hand in a glove. And the practices of the warm-up teach you a whole bunch of series of lessons. There's so much teaching in there about ways of moving that come into and inform the Tai Chi set or the Bagua practice and the Bagua sets that we do. Informed sets, I mean. And the reason why you'll see I never skimp on that is the training. The form is the intermediary step between learning how to move, putting your movement into sequential actions, and maintaining the integrity, finding how different moves flow into one another while maintaining this centralized set of principles. Then, of course, if you were training the martial art of Taijiquan, you would also do some Tui Shou, which it's translated as push hands, sensing hands exercises. That's sort of a next step, but it is just a next step. And there's a lot of different practices within that idea of Tui Shou that you practice from. Practicing static and doing a contiguous, consistent movement, learning to feel the other person's body and energy, join with it. Basically having a two-person version within a very small, simplified framework of what a Tai Chi movement might be, and learning what that dynamic is, and then playing different ones, learning how to work with them, learning how to find the pressure and resistance that a person has when they're working with you, and when they're not. One of the things that happens inevitably in practices like that is people start to get competitive, which is fine. I mean, it's not ideal. It's not where your mind space is supposed to be, but it is a very human response, and you have to work with that to get over it. Once you do, the other person, you'll realize that their competitiveness is something that puts an energy that pulls you into it, and learning how to play with that. It's like you've got the idea that you're trying to win. At the same time, you have to completely let go of the idea of winning and losing. In fact, the whole thing is just a lesson. So you're not really trying to win at all. The real winning happens when you just learn. In addition to that, you kind of have to work through that idea of the competitiveness. It's okay. Notice it arise in you. Recognize that it is an energy that can draw you into a loss of your own awareness, a loss of your center. It takes you out of the principles: calm, relaxed, centered, grounded, whole, complete, alive and lively, etc. And then the ability to neutralize, it all comes out of that. The outreach to receive, right? The compress to expand. You end up losing some of that while you try to win at the detail, because everything's happening so quick. That's an honest dynamic, and it's a valuable one. And if you give up the idea of having to win while you're still participating fully in the competition that it is, it's completely unloaded. And that's some of the work, is learning how to unload your sense of yourself, of winning and losing. Like, you have to win. You have to. It's just a dynamic, and eventually you start to find it as a dynamic. Then you start getting a little bit more complicated in these practices, a little bit more intense, perhaps, slowing it down, changing resistance levels, letting somebody actually give you full resistance to it, and then respond. What would they do? What would they, in this situation, what would they really do? Right? Over and over again, until you start learning how to stay in your principles. The whole thing is the entire time your focus is how do I stay within these principles and be successful? And you have to fail at that over and over and over again so that a new way of operating can arise. So you can intuitively and spontaneously apprehend the way to go about that. And then because we're training our feeling condition, our felt awareness, we want to bring that felt awareness into that experience so deeply that it comes out of that, that we start to learn what it feels like to be in that place where we're intuitively responding, because that is a mind-body position. We're intuitively responding, but maintaining the principles. Okay? All right. Anyways, now you can practice that in anything in life because you can always, wherever you are, be calm and relaxed, centered and grounded, whole and complete, alive and lively, outreaching to receive on all levels, and compressing to expand on all levels. Tongue lightly touches the roof of the mouth, central equilibrium. We're going to begin with our slow expansion. Just deep breath in. And release. And compress to expand. and bounce. And counters. And column swing. And counter column swing. And we're just going to go to almost like dragon rolling the pearl, but just gently expanding the sphere out, bringing it back in. Just smooth. Paying attention to this right channel opening and closing, and how that plays around with the left channel, particularly below, how the weight shifts. It closes, then it opens. This hip here opens as I turn this way. Right? And I'm paying attention to that and how that transfers from the center of the right channel to the center of the left channel, back and forth through the central channel, through the dantian, lower and middle. When you sink into this right leg here, and you shift and turn ever so slightly, you're expanding out, outreaching to receive. You're neutralizing. You're compressing whatever you might encounter with your hand, the air, the resistance from the air, the resistance of water, the imagined water, the resistance of imagined pressure, all of it. You're just outreaching to receive and root it, neutralize it in that leg. Constantly practicing that, just neutralizing their power, while you tangentially come into relationship from this idea of the sphere. The sphere itself is transferring power both up and down, in and out, up and down, in and out, always simultaneously, yin and yang. Remember, we're always trying to get that sense of the sphere, so it's also back here. Always making space inside. And the other side. Over and over again, just feeling that transition. Outreach to receive all the way into the ground. Receiving into this leg, expanding through that. Always receiving, outreach to receive and root, neutralize, both through the receiving and the expansion. Look for the places in your body where you're tight, where you're holding on. Let it flow. and relax. Don't doubt that those practices right there themselves have incredible value. Just continuing to do that much, that long, sinking into it. You can do it fast, you can do it slow. You know, when I first started training, I couldn't do it fast and still notice what I was working on. So I would always practice like this. I would outreach to receive because I had to really kind of interrupt the natural tensions in my normal way of operating, where when I would go out, I would stiffen the leg and push and get this idea of pushing out. I had to deconstruct that. And so that takes going slow. And that's part of why slow practice is really valuable. But eventually, you want to be able to, you know, once you feel like you have it, you want to test that a little bit by speeding up. You know, just or the other way. And close. Hands, wrists, and fingers. Other way. Elbows. Just kind of go through. We've been loosening the whole body with this practice. So we're just going to go through these a little quicker than we often do. So I want to get on to something else too. Trunk twist from the center. Adding the daimai, hips, coming outside for the legs, the insides, outside front, inside front, back, back inside. Pushing up the knees, and small circles. Other way. Deep bends. And nice and relaxed. Sink into one leg, ankle and hip. Other way. Foot and ankle. The other way. Brush in the grass. open. Stretch the quadricep. Ooh. Started to tilt, and then the ground was a little uneven. Oh, that's not awesome. Shake it out. Other side. Other way. Foot and ankle. Brushing the grounds. Other way. Other way. There you go. Behind. And shake it out. Elongate the spine, lift the sacrum. Today we're going to go a little bit wider than usual. Just go down like this, slightly different angle, just to change the angle. Making the spine really long, pressing the triangle of the feet flat onto the ground, extending the tailbone and head away from each other, lifting the sacrum away from the triangles of the feet, make space in the ball and socket joints, and inside the knees, ankles, feet, and toes. Over, keep the spine long. Notice where the hip, the spine, how the different parts of the body connect, particularly from the legs into the torso. Just work those right and left channels. Other side. Back and forth. Man. Good squat stance. A little closer so I can squeeze it. Spine long. Feel the triangles of the feet. Gently press into them. Make this an active process that you're learning to release. Stretch. Come back up. Shake out the legs. And dragon spine. So we're doing a spiral twist and release. And I'm just creating a spiral force to help release tension, particularly as it comes from here into the shoulder and out through the hand. So the other side. I'm just creating these releases. And both in and forward. Out, in and down. And then back. And I'm going to lead this side. Last time I led with my right. Right? This time I'm going to lead with my left. All right, let me see where I am on time so I know how much time I have. I got a class to get to after this. All right, good. Got a little bit of time. More than I expected. All right, so what I want to do with that idea that we were doing is we're working with this outreach to receive and neutralize. We're going to take that into our form set. Okay, I'm going to go over. I'm going to just kind of flow through the first four. And we're going to start taking that at number 5, at that split and open. And the reason is we've done the 4 a lot. We've looked at it in a lot of different ways. This is a way we probably have looked at it before, but not recently. But since you guys are starting to also work on the later part of this 8, and then eventually the 16, and then hopefully the last swimming dragon section, we'll get back there again. Usually I find it takes a good year to 2 years to kind of cycle through the whole thing and give it some justice. Okay, and the longer somebody works with me, you get the 4, 6, 8 years, you start having seen how the phases interface with each other, the things you're learning at each stage. It takes that long to really kind of understand the system, because it takes a lot of repetition to really understand what each exercise is. Right? It's not thousands, tens of thousands of repetitions possible. I don't know. I've never counted, but I figure a lot of them I do at least 100 times a day. So I don't know. 100 days. That's significant, right? But then you got to do the next one and do that, and it's all time consuming. And so pick. This is why I focus on the beginning, because the beginning is self-contained, anyways. So, anyways, without further delay, let's start with the sleeping dragon awakens to find his root. Quick reminder: this is a flow through the meridian flow. Wow, I mean, it's just you can't. You don't have to. You can just do the move, right? But if you let your awareness become aware and flow through that meridian flow, eventually you can just, you're also always the entire sphere, right? Relating compression and expansion, outreach and receive, okay? Verticality, the Tongmai, the central chin, how open that is, how centralized we are, calm, relaxed, centered, grounded, whole, and total, right? Sense of the sphere. We can just, that's a background. And then the meridian flow is just another piece that gets added to it. So tongue lightly touches the roof of the mouth. And eventually you're not like going, ding, ding, ding. It's actually all happening at the same time, because that's how things are. really taking my time here to set myself to really that Wuji state, true emptiness, where I observe all of my intentions, quiet them down, and come to a place of complete inner stillness when everything's still moving. Sleeping dragon awakens to find the root. Taiji beginning. Reflecting that. Step. Roll back. Press. And more pounds more. On split, before I even begin, central equilibrium, 3 Dan Chens are aligned. Zhong Ding, I've got that sense of being suspended from above, extended down, connecting heaven and earth. I've got a feel of the right channels and their rotational and spiral possibilities. And to split, I allow this left side to rotate in and become receptive, while this side rotates out and becomes expansive. But if I were to encounter, if the expanding sphere encountered anything, it would be receptive into the center and into the earth. Split and open again. Now as I'm opening, the sphere is receptive. I'm expanding, right? Outreaching to receive, spherically, making no forceful action, but I'm extending, and at the same time, I'm condensing and compressing, and letting that power the expansion. Cross the hands. Look to the right. Step. I'm getting receptive and expansive. 2 dragons. Seal the gate. Okay, thank you. Stop. Once is enough. Thank you. Stop. All right. Do that again. And it's the same. Expand. Got that sense. Really be outreach. Imagine anything you encounter draining through. Expand. And close. My apologies for that. I will probably edit that out later. I have a meeting I have to get to. My son was helping me at the time, but not just doing it once. Thank you very much. My apologies for ending a little bit early today. But if you take this and go as slow through that as I did, and the entire time you're always getting that sense of the center, outreaching to receive, receiving to compress and condense and neutralize. Not, I mean, here too, but into the earth. That's connected. We're just part of a larger flow, right? By allowing our own chi condense and compress, it naturally enhances and expands our capacity for outreaching to receive. At the same time, we have to let it flow through. That sense of, while some of our own chi is condensing and collecting here, forces and energy are flowing through and around us. And we're going to let that happen, no resistance. Okay. All right. Close one more time. And then take apart your form. Do it with every single one of those moves. If you'd like to help me by donating to the work that I do, you can go to my coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/Occidental Taoist. You can catch more of my live streams here on YouTube. I've also got a bunch of Qigong live streams that I did over the summer on Facebook. You can go there and look them up. You can just go to the Facebook video on my Occidental Taoist page, look them up and watch any one of them you want. I also have a Patreon page where, I've got a membership and there's there's access to some content I haven't released elsewhere. And that's, for patrons or Patreon patrons, whatever. Anyways, that's patreon.com/Occidental Taoist. Again, I thank you very much. And may you have many blessings, radiant health, and a peaceful, happy heart.